if you are in a place where you feel that you are having to step through a threshold into the unknown, that knowing is that you are not stepping through that threshold alone, but that you step through in covenant with perfect love with Him. Now I want to share with you the story of how the Invitation album came to be. So it was February 4th of 2022. I was attending a conference, and one of my dearest friends, Krista Smith, gave me a prophetic word. And in this word, God said that I'd be recording a second album, and this album would have 3 prophetic songs. He even said how the songs would come. One would come just in its entirety in one sitting, and that the other 2 would come through an encounter and dream. And then he made a very challenging statement, and it was, Cheena, set the date of the recording before you have those 3 songs. And it was in that moment I realized the Father was extending an invitation to me to trust Him at a greater level. Well, that prophetic word resonated in my spirit and actually confirmed some things I had already been sensing from God. So without hesitancy, I called my producer and set the date of the recording for 3 months later without having any of the songs yet. So now I know I've got 3 months and just postured myself in a position of receiving from God and really trying to stay in a place of rest in my times of worship and waiting on the Lord to release those songs. And it was on 2/22/22. I was tucked away with Jesus, having some time of stillness, and it was in that time that I had a vision of being in the throne room, and I just was focusing on His majesty and the beauty of His glory. And it was in that place that the Lord just gave me all the lyrics for the song, The Throne Room. It just came. And so I knew I had one song ready to go. But the other 2 took some time to come. And it was 2 weeks before I was to fly out to Florida that the Lord woke me up and spoke to me so clearly and said, Cheena, the name of your album is going to be The Invitation. And the first song is going to be called Serenade, and the second song is going to be called Invitation. And then the third song on your album will be Throne Room. And so at least now I have the names of the songs, but I still didn't have the lyrics or the melody. I continue to just wait on the Lord and worship. And it was a week prior to flying out that the songs came together in their fullness. And one of the songs, Serenade, the Lord reminded me of a lyric He gave to me from a dream. And when I went back to the notes, I realized that lyric fit perfectly with Serenade, and it was like a great jumping point for that. And then He reminded me of an encounter I had with Him. And He said to sing from that place of encounter, and that encounter would be the basis and foundation for both the Serenade and Invitation songs. So I want to share that encounter with you, and I pray that this encounter blesses you. So in the encounter, I saw Jesus, and He walked up to me, and in His hands He had these beautiful rose petals, and they were so precious to Him. He just loved these petals. And I asked Him, what do these petals represent? And He said, Cheena, each petal is a love song from you to me. Not just in the literal of when I've sung my worship unto Him, but just my life being a love song. Me standing on His promises every time I've looked upon Him, every time that I have stood my ground and loved Him in times of trial, that my life was literally a love song unto Him, and these petals represented that to Him. And then I looked and saw this huge pathway of roses. And I asked Him, well, what's that? And He said, Cheena, this is my love song to you. And literally, Jesus' life is a love song to us. And so that's the birthing of the song Serenade. Let my life be a love song unto you. I'll sing to you my love song. And then the encounter continues where the pathway of roses takes us to this beautiful setup that had candles and roses, and It looks like a wedding ceremony. And so we stood in front of this beautiful archway of roses, and we professed our love to one another in this encounter. And then I saw this archway and I asked him, "What's this?" And he said, "Cheena, this is the archway of trust. Will you go through it?" And I looked at him with a little bit of hesitancy. And then he looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Cheena, you don't walk through this archway of trust alone. You walk through this archway of trust in covenant with perfect love, in covenant with me, in covenant with perfect peace. You are walking through it with me, in me, and me in you." And in Song of Songs 4:8 in the Passion Translation, it says, "Now you are ready, my bride, to come with me as we climb the highest peaks together. Come with me through the archway of trust." And here it says, "Come with me." And so that encounter is the basis of the song Invitation. And Jesus is the door. He is constantly extending an invitation and inviting us to come and be with him, to come and step into greater levels and depths of intimacy with him. Come and step into greater revelation knowledge of him. Come and step into greater levels of trust. And so I want to encourage you, if you are in a place where you feel that you are having to step through a threshold into the unknown, that knowing is that you are not stepping through that threshold alone, but that you step through in covenant with perfect love with him, the one who knows all, our omniscient God. He is all-knowing. So even though you're stepping into the unknown, you're stepping through with someone who is constant, who is faithful, who is a firm foundation, who is one you can absolutely trust, and who will hold your hand and carry you through. And so Jesus is always extending that invitation for us to come. Isaiah 55:1, "Come to the refreshing waters and drink." Song of Songs 2:10, "Arise, my beloved, and come away with me." He's always extending that invitation, but we have the choice. Are we going to go? Are we going to accept that invitation? Go. So that is the basis of this album, The Invitation. He himself is the invitation, and I pray that this album will bless you and that you would see that your life is a love song unto him, that would be the desire of your heart, that your life would literally be worship unto him, and that you would receive his invitation to come, and that you would come into that throne room experience with him and just be undone and in awe and wonder of his majesty and glory.